We had opportunity to meet with the detainees, and of course they're at the embassy, our embassy there. One of the detainees is from North Dakota. And so I had opportunity to visit with her, which I appreciated very much. We also met with the Muslim Brotherhood and the Freedom and Justice Party, the Speaker of their parliament, and others. And actually, the day after we were there, the Muslim Brotherhood, Freedom Justice Party put out a statement that I thought was very helpful. And I'm appreciative of Senator McCain and Senator Graham for leading that group over there to try to encourage that the travel ban be lifted. But it hasn't been, so I'm very concerned. And I would just ask you to give me whatever update you can on your efforts to get our 7 American NGO workers back here to the United States.
Well, first, Senator, thank you for going to Egypt. Thank you for traveling to these countries that are incredibly important to our future peace and security. We are engaged in very intensive discussions with the Egyptian government about finding a solution. We've had a lot of very tough conversations, and I think we're moving toward a resolution. But I don't want to, discuss it in great detail because it's important that they know that we are continuing to push them, but that we don't necessarily put it out into the public arena yet. So I will, now that I know one of the NGO workers is one of your constituents, we will stay in very close touch with you.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate your efforts. And again, certainly want to do anything I can do to help, but certainly we want to do everything we can to see that our workers, our Americans, get home safe and sound. And of course, beyond that, want to build a good relationship with this new democratic government in Egypt. So there's a lot at stake here, and I know you're hard at work on it, and I appreciate it very much and look forward to staying in close contact with you. The other item I wanted to bring up is the sanctions on Iran. My background is banking, and so I understand when you have no access to funding, it puts a lot of pressure on you. Now, through the DOD Reauthorization Act, which included the Kirk-Menendez Amendment, we put sanctions on Iran's central bank. These are very effective. I mean, we're basically saying, those sanctions basically provide, I guess is the way I should put it, that any country or company that tries to buy oil from Iran, they have to pay them through the Iran central bank. And they can't do it and deal with the United States banking system. That is a powerful sanction, but it needs to be fully implemented, and we can't grant exceptions. And that's why Senator Graham, myself, and others are sponsoring a resolution supporting the administration and calling on them to fully implement that sanction and to not allow exceptions. I know that creates diplomatic pressure with friends like South Korea, with countries like India and others that buy oil from Iran. But this is our chance to really put pressure on Iran to stop their nuclear ambitions, short of other options, including obviously a military strike. Please address, I feel we need to impose those sanctions as aggressively as we can. I'm asking you to do that. Would you please comment on that?
Well, we totally agree with you, Senator. We are implementing the new Iran sanctions aggressively. The President issued an executive order on February 6th that blocks assets under U.S. jurisdiction of all Iranian banks, also makes it clear that both the Departments of Treasury and State are expected to enforce the sanctions absolutely. We have been traveling the world, high-level teams from Treasury, Energy, and State to explain what the sanctions are to counterparts around the world. We're very frank in these discussions about the requirements of U.S. law, and we have seen a lot of action. A broad range of countries are making decisions to reduce their dependence on Iranian crude, unwind their dealings with the Central Bank of Iran. We are also pushing very hard to make it clear that we'll help countries that have a significant dependence on Iranian crude to try to find alternatives. You know, it is something that they have to look for. They can't just stop cold turkey and not have any, you know, anything fueling their economies. Some of our friends who are major producers have set forth their willingness to try to make up the difference. So we've had a positive reaction. Just for your information, the EU member states, I mean, you take some of those countries were dependent up to 35% on Iranian crude. And Japan have been among the most visible. They've been taking extraordinary steps to try to comply with our sanctions and deny revenue to Iran. We've seen increasing difficulty by Iran in importing and exporting products. They cannot purchase third-party liability coverage for their vessels. So we've stopped them from being insured, which means they can't travel. So European, or travel with, you know, with insurance. So European and Asian companies are actually moving more quickly and reducing their imports and their purchases than we thought they'd be able to. So, you know, we're just relentlessly pressing them, Senator, and you know, we're going to do the very best we can to help them. But, you know, I would say that we have some unique situations. I mean, look at Japan, which lost so much of their electricity production because of the earthquake and the Fukushima nuclear power plant meltdown. You know, they have been reducing their imports from Iran in the range of 15 to 20% since last year because we have been working with them and talking to them. And they're aggressively seeking out new suppliers. But they've got to find new suppliers. And, you know, we've got some challenges there. Libya's not back up the way it needs to be. We're now sanctioning Syria, so their contribution is not what it needs to be. But I can assure you, we are working as aggressively as we can to try to meet these very tough sanction targets.
Mr. Chairman, I'll just wrap up here with this comment. Again, thank you, Madam Secretary, for joining us this morning. We are working to help you in the Senate in terms of imposing those sanctions. That's our best shot to really apply pressure to the Iranian government to stand down on its nuclear ambitions, and we'll continue to try to help make those sanctions as effective as possible.
Thank you, Senator.